Hi all. I said that I would do a short little video on this. We started talking about this at the end of class on Monday, and it's the idea that sometimes in your research you need to think a little more creatively than just putting in the name of your text or author. So I want to show you a couple of different searches that I might do to help me better understand Natasha Trethewey's Thrall. So I'm going to go in here to the MLA bibliography. It's one that you should be familiar with at this point because you've already done some secondary sources on the Weebly project. And we had mentioned that some of the writing that Trethewey is doing is what is called ekphrasis. It's writing about a piece of visual art. So I suspect that someone has probably written about ekphrasis and poetry. So I'm going to do a search for that and see what results we get. You can see here, for instance, that there are 422 results. I'm just going to scroll through a few of these and see if we can find some ones that are useful. Aaron, you might be interested in this one. Felicia Hemans, right? Some of these are not going to be relevant because some of them are talking about the Renaissance. But if you look at this one, for instance, The Ethics of Ekphrasis, the turn to responsible rhetoric in mid-20th century American poetry, that might actually be useful. Trethewey is certainly not a mid-20th century American poet, but she is American, and we could probably take the ideas that Joshua Steffi is using and apply them to Trethewey's work. I feel quite certain that he never mentions her in that dissertation, but I bet we can use his ideas to help us better understand Trethewey. Another idea that we could think about, for instance, is race. And let's do race and American poetry, and see what we get. I don't know what we're going to find. I haven't done these yet. Revelatory and complex, innovative African American poetries. And you can see that this was published in 2012. And we know that the subject is African American poets, poetic technique, and ethnic identity. Well, certainly that's the kind of thing that Natasha Trethewey is all about. And yet, I might be wrong. Maybe this writer does actually talk about Trethewey. Let's open up the full text and find out. Okay, so I've got the full text open. I'm just going to do a search, and you can see no mention of Trethewey at all. And yet, by thinking about how other African American writers handle technique and identity, we can apply these ideas to the work that Trethewey is doing. One final way of doing this kind of research is to say, you know what, let's see what has been written about Natasha Trethewey's earlier work. And I think I mentioned to you that one of her books is called Native Guard. So I'm going to do a search on Trethewey and Native Guard. Okay, so clearly this article, His Story Intersecting with My Own, Miscegenation as History in Natasha Trethewey's Native Guard. The writer is talking about the mixing of races and that the way in which that relates to history in Trethewey's previous book. Well, clearly the same theme is coming through in Thrall, and again, we could read this article and build on it and use the work that Ji-Yoon Kim has done to help us say something interesting about Trethewey's newest book, about which there probably is not anything in the MLA bibliography. Let's check and see. You can see no results found. So I hope this gives you some hints and suggestions for some new ways of thinking about research, particularly when you're working with a text where there hasn't been a lot written about it. I'll look forward to seeing what you come up with on the final bibliography piece of your Weebly project.